Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I have another vintage quilt block for you. This one is called Home Circle, and it's another 10-inch block, and it's made with square and a square units and single squares. So this one actually goes together pretty easily, so I hope you're not intimidated by it. But I just used one colored print, and then I do have the dot print in the background, so a low volume print in here. I'm just experimenting with that. I've been seeing a lot of quilts online the past year that people are using a print in the background, so I decided I'd give it a try too. So I hope you'll stay with me, and I will show you how to make the home circle block.
Here are the pieces that you're going to need to make the home circle block. For A, you need 4 pieces that are 4.5 inches square. For B, you need 5 that are 2.5 inches square. And then for your background, you need a total of 20 2.5 inches square. Now on 16 of them, you're going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner. The others you aren't. Now instead of drawing your line, you can also use a seam guide on your sewing machine, like diagonal seam tape, or you can use a guide like this. This is a Seams So Easy guide by Riley Blake, and you can use that on your machine to help you, because you're going to be sewing from corner to corner, so anything like that will help. So anyway, let's go to the sewing machine and get started. Okay, for this pattern, the first thing I'm going to do is to sew some B squares to the D squares. So that would be the print squares, and then these are the 4 background squares that you did not draw a diagonal line on the wrong side. So we're going to use these and just pair them up, so it doesn't take very long. You just put right sides together, and then you can chain piece these. And I have a 50 weight thread in my machine, and I am using So Fine by Superior, and I have my stitch length at 2.0. Okay, now we're going to press, and I'm going to press towards my blue fabric. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is to make some square and a square units using the A squares and the C squares. Now I have this Seams So Easy guide that I'm going to try. Now I've tried it a couple of times and was not very successful with it. I could not get it to stay down on my machine. I used a couple of different kinds of washi tape, and it just kept pulling up, and I wound up stitching through the plastic here by about 3 stitches. So anyway, it comes with these little glue tabs, so I'm going to try these and see if these will work, and if not, then I will go back to using the glow line tape that I normally do to mark. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those on the back, and if you do paper crafting, it just works the same way. You just peel off the paper, stick it onto your project, and then peel off that backing sheet. So I'm going to try this and see, and I'm hoping this will work. And I don't know if it's the plastic on my machine or what the deal is, but it was not working for me the way it was supposed to. So let me get it lined up. And lining it up is not a problem, because it has all of these guides that you can use, and just line it up with something straight on your machine. Let's just press those down real well, and we will see what happens. I'm going to pull up my thread there. There we go. Okay, so we'll try that out today. Okay, so A squares. So we need to make 4 square and a square units. So I'm going to place one of the C squares in a corner. Line up those raw edges. I want to sew from this corner to this corner. So you're going from side to side there on the big square and then point to point here. So I'm just lining my needle up with that point and this point down to my center line here. And there we go. This feels a little more stable, so that may have been my solution for that problem. Now I'm going to flip around and do the one on the opposite side because they're going to overlap, so I can't do them adjacent to each other. I'll get my squares to come up. Here we go. And just do the same thing. Okay, that's very accurate. This is very accurate. This seems so easy, seam guide. So I like that part of it. Okay, now I'm going to trim off the outer triangle here. Just trim it down to a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to press them open. Okay, so this is what I have at this point. So now I'm going to put the small squares on the other 2 corners and press and trim, or then trim and press, and that square and a square unit will be done. Get that out of the way. And do the opposite corner. Okay, now I need to trim and press again, and then this square and a square unit will be done. Okay, there's that square and a square unit. So now I need to make 3 more, and then we'll be ready to put all the pieces together into the block. Okay, I've got all the pieces laid out for the block, and I've used the square and a square units are in the corners, and then the 2 unit pieces go with the print on the outside. So the extra B square goes here in the center, and then what you're wanting is for your background to surround that to form a circle around your center color fabric. So now I'm ready to sew it together in rows, so I'm just going to go 1 row at a time and sew it, and then sew the rows together. And I do have points to match on these 2 rows here, and then when I get to sewing the rows together, I'll have to match the points here. So you're matching these points to these seams. So let's go back to the sewing machine and get started sewing. Now I'm going to be using pins. So I'm going to put on my pin cushion, and I need to match a seam to a point. So I'm going to line these up. I'm just going to pull this back so that I can see where the seam is going to match that point, and get that in there the best I can, and then I'm going to put a pin through to see if I'm coming through in the right spot. And that looks off just a little bit, so I'm going to adjust. So here we go. Now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my needle over to, by 1 notch over to the right, and that will help it'll give me a scant 1/4 inch, and that will help me to keep from blunting off the points. Knock my seam back down there. Okay, then I'm going to sew the next row. So these are the first 2 pieces of each row that I'm sewing. Okay, I've got everything sewn into rows, and I need to sew the rows together. So here is the top row, and here is the center. So I'm going to match seams and points, and I'm going to start in the center and match the seams. Now I pressed my seams in opposite directions by row here, so these seams are going to nest together. So they go in opposite directions when you put them together. So now we're ready to sew the rest of this block together, and I want to make sure my points are matching up to the seams, and those look like they're going together really well. I'm not having any problems with them yet. Okay, so we're at my little ironing mat here, and I'm just going to press the seams flat the way they were sewn. And then I'm going to press towards the center. They don't seem to really want to go one particular direction. Sometimes you can tell that there's more resistance one direction than the other. This one, I think it would be easily manipulated. It would be easily manipulated either way. But I like to press away from points if I can. Okay. So there is the home circle block. So that one really wasn't too difficult to do. So if you can, you know, draw your diagonal lines on your squares and follow them, this block goes together pretty easily. So this is another 5-patch block, so it measures 10 inches and it's looking pretty well to go with the other blocks that I have so far in my 10-inch sampler quilt. So I hope you enjoyed this video.
Well, that is it for the home circle block. I think this turned out really well, and actually went together real easily. So you just need to make easy corner triangles with the square and a square units. That's all you're doing. So pencil and a ruler to draw that diagonal line, and then sew on it and flip and trim, and you're good to go. So I hope you'll give this one a try. So if you like this video, please click that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.